Live from Studio 8 in downtown Wenatchee, we are back at it on this Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, 12th day of July 2018. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Steve Hare, news director, to my immediate left, and my good friend Kat, as always in control, Jim and Ruth. Standing by in the green room, Jim Bailey and Ruth Esparza, both fine members of the Wenatchee City Council. And after 3 years of contemplating and study and meetings and ad hoc committees, as far as districting, yes, no, maybe in between, they get it's brass tacks time tonight at City Council. Basically, and tonight it's your turn, folks, to sound off on this issue of changing the way you vote for City Council members of the Wenatchee City Council. So we'll have more on that in the story, and then later half of the program you'll be talking to the two council members. It'll be fun. It'll be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to that. No decision expected tonight, but again, it's critical that everybody who votes has a voice. So, and it should be pointed out that their hand was kind of forced on this. This all goes back 4 years ago when the city of Yakima, which has a higher Latino population than the city of Wenatchee, all 7 of their districts in Yakima were all at large. There was no districting, and there were no Latinos on the Yakima City Council, and those who had standing sued. They got involved. It eventually went through the court system. Yakima lost. They now have 7 districts that are districted out. They have parameters and borders, and they now have Latino representation on the council, and it cost the city of Yakima about $2.5 million to lose a lawsuit. There you go. So all of that, we'll talk about that. It'll be a great conversation. I'm a little nervous today. I usually am not. You know me. I'm a pretty even-keeled guy, but this morning at 8:30, the Emmy Award nominations are announced. Oh my gosh! Okay. So this is a big day for us. Is that the daytime Emmys or the nighttime Emmys? It's the Emmy Awards, the Emmys, the big ones. So fingers crossed on the show. Thinking I can get a nomination or two. You think so? I'm counting on it. I already bought the champagne. We'll see. Yeah, just for overall television excellence. We have no chance. The weather forecast, hot. Oh, it's going to be warm. It's summertime. Hot. Could hit triple digits in a couple of days. Those details are coming up. Also, we have sports. We have the obscure holiday birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike Benatti's opinion. Kennel cameos with Megan McPherson. That's coming up as well. Of course, Steve has your news. And are you ready to go around the valley? Let's check it out. Let's do it. Let's see what we got this morning from our Sky-Fi cameras, high-definition cameras, movable, zoomable, and oh so wonderful. The Wenatchee Valley looks good today, and the water looks enticing, especially this afternoon. It's cold, though, folks. Yeah, it is still cold, and the Columbia really never warms up. It's always cold. Yeah. You're heading up to Lake Wenatchee this weekend. Heads up, Lake Wenatchee never warms up either. No. Yeah, it's just full of melted snow. I don't plan to do any dipping. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, Lake Chelan, it warms up, but not the Columbia River. Get ready for some warm weather, ladies and gentlemen. Well, beautiful morning, not a cloud to be had. And you can look at those surrounding hillsides, and they're browning up as that grass starts to cure and dry out. And so certainly we are definitely in the fire season, folks. No question about that, Steve. Camera 2. Let's dissolve and take a look at Lake Chelan from our Bear Mountain camera. And Steve, you have some Stehekin news, do you? Well, yeah, we were noticed here by Stehekin that their refueling dock up there is out of service. So they're cautioning private boaters, if you're heading up to Stehekin, make sure you got a full load of gas. Oh, yeah. You're not going to be able to refuel to head back home. Yeah. Oh, that would be a problem. Yeah. I'd like some gas, please, so I can go back to Chelan. Sorry, we're out. Be aware of that, folks. Okay. Could be a problem. I wonder how much gas costs for a gallon up at Stehekin. That's got to be a small fortune. I would imagine so. Yeah. Everything has to be boated up there or flown in. Yeah. So. You want to gas up your boat? I'll need a mortgage, please, on your home. Camera 3. Maybe you can hitch a ride with the lady of the lake coming back or something. There you go. That is a live shot from our Omi Garden camera, zoomed in to the Rocky Reach Dam area, and of course you can see the fishermen. Yeah. And I learned a cute little thing yesterday from Eric Grandstrom that there's a little shelf right there. You can't see the fish ladder, but the fish ladder is to the left, and that's where the fish congregate, and also it's pretty shallow water right there. And the reason that all the boaters are right there is that they're going around in circles. You can't tell, but they're going clockwise, and they're trolling for fish while the fishing is good, because guess what? They're shutting down the season. Yeah, the Chinook season being shut down. And there we go. We're going to zoom out all the way out.
Look at that.
Isn't that just incredible?
Boy, we're blessed with these Sky-Fi cams, and really adds some real dimension to our morning show.
And remember, those are tools, not toys.
That's right.
So,
There's Turtle Rock on the right in the distance there with 97, Highway 97. Folks heading between Orondo and Wenatchee.
Good job, Kat.
Yeah, that's nice.
Camera 4, or did we go through all the cameras? No, we haven't. We got one more camera to go. I believe that is Lake Wenatchee. That's the Two Rivers camera. I've been up to that site. That is way up. It's kind of, the depth perception may throw you off a little bit, but that tower is way up there.
Yeah.
It shoots over the top of everything. That's at the very top of Lake Wenatchee. We call that the Two Rivers
Now I'm
camera.
getting excited.
Yeah, you're going to love it up there.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
It's my first time camping at Lake Wenatchee.
Oh, you'll love it.
Yeah.
You'll love it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cooler, no mosquitoes anymore. It's much more rural and foresty than, say, Lake Chelan, which is...
I might even make a little trip over to the YWCA camp.
There you go.
Tim McElravy and the crew up there. They're in the middle of their season right now.
Oh, yeah. The Y camp is hopping.
Oh, I bet it is.
Yeah, and then, you know what, while you're on the north side, go ahead and cruise on up to the Cougar Inn and maybe have a nice dinner, you and Lynette.
I wish I could, but it's no longer there.
There's your forecast from the National Weather Service. Let's see, 94 warm, 98. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 98 is hot. I'm going to say that. A big high pressure dome is right off the Oregon coast, so everybody's going to get sunshine everywhere. Everybody's going to have warm temperatures. Could get 100. Could get 100 tomorrow. It's possible. Now, we're going to have a weak, and I mean a really weak cold front, is going to push through the inland northwest Friday evening into early Saturday morning. It's not going to really cool us down a great deal. I mean, what's the difference between 98 and 93? Not much.
Yeah, no.
It's going to feel the same way. And when we talk about cold front, just a little breeze, Steve, not much. I'm going to go specifically to Friday night because that's going to be the strongest wind. Northwest wind Friday night, 10 to 16 miles an hour.
Boy.
So just to keep, a little close eye on that.
Summer nights are sure looking nice, though.
Yeah. Summer loving happens so fast. So there's your forecast from the National Weather
With
Service.
a song in his heart.
Yeah, I got a lot of things in my heart. Mostly plaque. 8 minutes after the hour. The news is next, and the news is brought to you by a fine new sponsor. We want to welcome them on board, Cascade Medical Center. Trained with a physical therapist who loves the outdoors as much as you do. Cascade Medical Center, partners in your health.
The physical therapists at Cascade Medical love the outdoors as much as you do. But sometimes where there's love, there's also pain. Let us help you get back to the activities that you love. Cascade Medical, partners in your health.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar brought to you by LocalTel. The Lake Chelan Boating Club Poker Run is Friday, July 13th to Sunday, July 15th. The Poker Run happens on Saturday with dinner and prizes awarded. Stage Kids Washington presents Disney's Mulan Jr. Friday and Saturday at the Numerica Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets online at numericapac.org. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
And on this 12th day of July, good morning. Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. A lot of news to get to, so let's not delay. First of all, an injured climber was rescued yesterday after he suffered a broken foot while attempting to scale Mount Stewart. Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett reports that 34-year-old Michael Getlin of Lake Oswego, Oregon, was injured when a loose rock fell on his foot while ascending the southwest face of the mountain, also known to climbers as the Alpine Ridge Route. Now, the man's wife was with him, and she called Rivercon to report the problem. A hoist-capable helicopter from Whidbey Naval Air Station was flown in to pluck the injured man off the mountain and transport him and his wife to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, where he's being treated for that broken foot. Also, autopsy results have been released on the body of a young Kashmir man whose body was discovered last weekend in the Wenatchee River near Monitor. Chelan County Coroner Wayne Harris announced yesterday that 19-year-old Sheldon House of Kashmir died from asphyxia due to freshwater drowning. Now, House had been missing since mid-May. Harris says it's still not known how the 19-year-old drowned or how he ended up in the river. Blood toxicology tests are pending, which Harris says could shed more light in that investigation. By the way, there's a fire burning in the northeast corner of Douglas County between Pendle Road and the Columbia River. This fire is now called the Washington Flats Fire. It was being wind-driven yesterday, and it was headed south. There were no evacuation notices issued, and there were no structures threatened. And just prior to coming on the air, we were notified by DNR that that fire has now been contained after burning about 385 acres of mostly grass and brush. But again, no structures were threatened, and there were no injuries as well. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Full containment expected on the Ryegrass Coulee fire later today as crews start to demobilize. The wildfire that forced the closure of I-90 and threatened the town of Vantage spread to over 1,600 acres of dry sage land. The Kittitas County Sheriff's Office reports Huntsinger Road and Wanapum Recreation Area and the state park have been reopened, and all evacuation notices for Vantage were lifted last night. Good news there. Also, tonight is your chance to sound off on a plan to change the way Wenatchee City Council members are elected. The council is holding a public hearing tonight at City Hall to get public input on the possible changes to a district form of council representation. Council will then decide whether to maintain its current at-large format or switch to a district format, which could change Wenatchee's form of city governance. City Council will eventually vote whether to create 7 or 5 voting districts. Tonight's City Council meeting begins at 5:15 at Wenatchee City Hall, and you'll want to stay tuned to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley as Dan's guests in the second half hour, City Council members Ruth Esparza and Jim Bailey, will be talking about the possible voting district changes. Well, due to poor returns of salmon, a popular fishery in the upper Columbia River will be closing early this year. NCW Life's Eric Grandstrom sat down with Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Dave Graybill to find out what's going on.
This is a result of that very bad drought and warm water year we had in 2015. So this return of this year's fish were the ones that took that hit from that occasion. And so our summer run return was much lower than originally forecast, and it has not reached levels predicted to pass over Priest Rapids Dam that'll allow us to continue the fishery past this Sunday.
A lot of people look at the dam counts and they look at numbers and, wow, over Bonneville things are looking good, and up here things are looking good, but those that help set seasons and make those determinations look at something a little bit different than what we're looking at as the general public, correct?
I just learned this, Eric, and it's actually the Technical Advisory Committee that's composed of people from both Washington and Oregon, and based on what they use, in the legal definitions of US v. Oregon and Washington to establish salmon seasons, they begin their counts 2 weeks after the sites that we always look at. Mm-hmm. They convert the salmon runs from spring to summer on June 1st. They don't do that until June 21st, I believe. It's
so
2 weeks later.
Yeah.
2 weeks later,
okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yes, and so what we're looking at, again, I was like you, oh my goodness, we have over 50,000 over Bonneville, but subtract 2 weeks of returns, and then you see that we are not going to hit the magic numbers that are required to open the season and extend the season.
Economically speaking, this has a pretty big impact for the Upper Columbia, doesn't it?
It does. I think first of the many friends that we have that operate as guides during the summer run season. For many of them, I believe it is their most important season in terms of booking trips and generating revenue for their services. But then there's also the communities of Pateros, Entiat, Wenatchee, and Brewster that really feel the impact. And also, we've had to cancel now the derbies, very popular derbies in Wenatchee and in Brewster too.
And again, we're still waiting on official word from the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. But Graybill tells us the fishery will close for certain Sunday at midnight. The good news for local anglers, however, is that the sockeye returns are larger than forecast this season. We'll have more on that side of the story coming up later today on NCW Life Evening News. Also on the political front, nearly 200 Republican faithful Tuesday, they met at Rocky Reach Dam for the annual barbecue. Those in attendance included Representative Mike Steele, 12th District candidate Keith Gaynor, Chelan Superior Court Judge Travis Brandt were local candidates who attended. Also a surprise visit from U.S. Senate candidate Susan Hutchinson, who's facing off with incumbent Washington Senator Maria Cantwell. Dino Rossi, running for the U.S. House seat held by retiring Dave Reichert, told the faithful that the 8th District race will be decided by Eastern Washington voters.
You know, this district, though, 18% of this district is in Eastern Washington. You folks in this room control this race. You control this race. 18% can sway this entire election if everybody votes. If you get everybody you know to vote, get your neighbors to vote, get your kids to vote, get everybody to vote.
So far, Rossi is the lone Republican to declare his candidacy for the congressional seat. He is the only one, and along with 11 independent and Democratic candidates. Also, in conclusion today, of course, you've seen, I don't know if you've seen that movie, is it Stranger Things, which is the movie that's out right now, I guess, or it's a series on Netflix. But it's just kind of an interesting, kind of a haunting, kind of a science fiction type movie. Well, anyway, borrowing from that, the Chelan County PUD has produced a short public service announcement video that focuses on the dangers posed by unregulated Bitcoin mining.
Ever since Danny Lightman hooked up a cryptocurrency mine in his basement, strange things have been happening.
Danny? Hey, sweetie.
Oh, shoot.
I hate when that happens. PUD commissioners, by the way, continue to deal with this cryptocurrency mining issue. In fact, at this meeting on Monday, they were discussing more the plans to create a new rate class and new rate structure for Bitcoin mining here in the area.
Sucks a lot of juice, doesn't it?
It does. It's very power dependent.
18 minutes after the hour. Before we go any further, we did mention this at our opening remarks. Gene Segura won the fan vote. Yes, he's in. He's going to go to the All-Star game in our nation's capital next Tuesday. They filled the rosters up to 32, and they had the last 5 candidates, and it was a fan vote, and they did a big social media campaign. The Mariners did, and last night at 8 o'clock they announced the final 2, the new representative, the last representative for the National League, and the last one for the American League, and Gene Segura will bring it up to 4 Mariners who will be representing their team in Washington, D.C. next week. That's good.
So, no Paxton yet, though?
No, what? No, I know. Jim's
not going to be in.
Well, there'll be. They look at the pitchers who are going to be pitching over the weekend,
right?
And then they look at the starting pitchers who will be pitching Thursday and Friday after the All-Star break, and they're not going to see any action. You know, why blow your arm out in an exhibition game? And so you can do. I would. It's possible. Let's just say it. It's not totally out of the question. Is James Paxton, the Big Maple, going to make the All-Star team? Probably not, but it's still possible.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that.
It's kind of like, are we going to get an Emmy Award nomination? Probably not, but it's possible.
In what category?
Just outstanding excellence in overall television wonderfulness. That, or I'll go to Haglund's and make one for myself.
Greatest performance by a non-actor.
Yeah, in a non-role. The news with Grant Olson comes your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 3 ways to consume your news on television right here on the NCW Live channel. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. If you prefer to consume it online or on demand, we'll have it up on our website right around 5 o'clock. We'll have it up on our Facebook page right around 5 o'clock. And of course, if you want to be a part of our news team, quick heads up, you don't get paid, but you do get credit. Steve?
Absolutely. So that goes for news story ideas. If it's a program or event you want us to maybe profile on our news, let us know about it. Hey, also, you can share your videos and share your images of things that are going on around the valley. Any number of ways, by email. Our address is news@ncwlife.com. On our website, just click that tab at the top of the page that says Contact Us. Communicate with us that way. And you can also talk to us on our social media sites, on Facebook and Twitter. And as always, our breaking news hotline available to you. If you see something happening, call us. 888-6295. That's 888-NCWL.
You don't even need to look at the screen anymore,
No.
Steve. I'm so proud of you. 66 degrees, sunshine. If you have outdoor plans today, do it now. It's going to get warm. 94 today, near 100 on Friday. A little bit cooler over the weekend, but really not much typical July weather. We'll take a break. When we come back, sports, the obscure holiday. We have today in history, birthdays, kennel cameos with Megan McPherson.
Oh, boy.
Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion, and then a very interesting and I hope very informative conversation with a couple of Wenatchee City Council members on a big meeting tonight and an even bigger meeting coming up in August. All of that coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
I'm Ben Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
I wish we had something cool for the kids to do this summer. I feel like we've just done it all.
Have you heard about the 100 Days of Summer at the Rack? The kids can take a dive with swim team, challenge themselves with karate and junior workouts. It's games galore playing tennis and pickleball. No need to choose. They can try it all with the Rack Summer Multi-Sport Camps. There's fun for you too. Get fit with group fitness or work on that tan by the pool. The Rack has something for the whole family. Find all the details at wrac.org and do your 100 Days of Summer at the Rack, where we play every day.
And welcome back, 22 minutes after the hour. Let's do sports. Matt James had a big 3-run home run last night. It was the big blow. Unfortunately, Mr. James plays for Bellingham, and Bellingham beats Wenatchee 6-2 in West Coast League Baseball in Wenatchee last night. Bellingham built an early 2-run lead. Nick Nostrani had an RBI sacrifice fly in the second, and then Dusty Stroop's RBI base hit in the third, gave him a 2-0 lead. Apple Sox starting pitcher Grady Miller then walked to a board with 2 outs in the 5th inning, and that's when Mr. James came to the plate.
I think at the end of the day, it's better to be getting that extra playing time, even if it is a lower tier, than it would be to sit on the bench. Hit high in the air to right field off the bat of James, and that ball is going to go over the fence for a home run. A 3-run shot to give the Bellingham Bells a 5-0 lead. Home run by James is his first of the season, and the Bells have put forth a 3 spot here in the 5th inning.
Joel Norman on the call on the Apple Sox Radio Network video, courtesy of the Apple Sox Facebook stream. Wenatchee, though, mounted a comeback in the bottom of the 5th. Evan Williams at the plate.
First and second for the Sox, looking to make some noise here in the 5th. The pitch, hit in the air toward right center field. On the run is the right fielder, Michaels, and he won't get to it. Coming in to score easily as day, Pena is right behind him, and it's a 2-run RBI double for Evan Williams.
The Apple Sox did get a man aboard in the bottom of the 9th inning, but Bellingham closer Ben Leeper shut the door in the 6-2 win.
6-2 the score for the Bells ahead of the Apple Sox. The pitch, outside edge, called, strike 3. Bellingham wins 6-2 tonight. They even up this 3-game set with the Apple Sox with a victory in Game 2. They score 6 runs on 8 hits. Sox get 2 runs on 4 hits, and that's the difference in this ballgame. The Sox could not get enough walks drawn early on because that's where Bellingham went to work. It's not like they pounded away at the ball, but drew a lot of walks, stole some bases, and took advantage of a few wild pitches, and they are the victors here tonight.
Once again, Joel Norman on the call on the Apple Sox Radio Network. Bellingham getting the victory. They'll play the rubber game of the 3-game series tonight. Paul Thomas Senior Field. Mickey Spalacy will start for Wenatchee, and the Bells will go with Nick Nastrini. First pitch, 7:05. To the Les Schwab scoreboard from the West Coast League last night. There you see Kelowna. The Falcons defeated Cowlitz. The final there was 8-5. Victoria knocked off Bend, 6-3. Chris Arpon hit a pinch hit grand slam home run. Yakima. The Yakima Valley Pippins knocked off Corvallis 13-6. Jack Philby scored an errant pickoff move by Portland pitcher Colby Wyatt in the top of the 9th inning. That was the decisive run. Walla Walla got it in the 2-1 decision there. And Riker Tom's 2-run base hit sandwiched between 2 bases-loaded walks, a 4-run 6th inning that allowed Port Angeles to top Highline 4-2 non-league contest at Civic Field. Your schedule for tonight in the West Coast League: Bend is at Victoria, Yakima Valley hosts Corvallis, Walla Walla is at Portland, Bellingham again at Wenatchee. Port Angeles wraps up their non-league series with Highline. Marco Gonzalez, the former Apple Sox, earned his team-leading 10th victory of the season. He and a couple of relievers pitched a 2-hit shutout of the Angels. The final was 3-0 yesterday. Gonzalez pitched really well. He retired the first 10 batters he faced, pitched just 7 innings on 82 pitches. He struck out 4, allowed just 2 hits. Edwin Diaz, by the way, another save, 1-2-3 for his 38th save of the season. Offensively, Seattle got a surprise solo home run from fill-in catcher David Freitas in the 3rd inning as his first as a major leaguer. Congratulations to David. Nelson Cruz, by the way, delivered a 2-run base hit in the 4th. That capped the scoring. Manager Scott Service was glowing in his post-game press conference about the performance of his starting pitcher.
Heck of a job by Marco Gonzalez, to go out there and, calm that club down. And, especially after he got hit in the calf there in the 4th inning, he didn't know how long he was going to stay in the game. He didn't sit down the whole game. He was in the batting cage running, trying to keep it loose because, once you calm that thing down, it tightens up. So it's exactly what we needed. Getting through 7 innings tonight, 2 hits, awesome job.
Seattle goes for the series win tonight. Big Maple James Paxton will toe the rubber. He'll go against Tyler Skaggs of the Angels. First pitch tonight, 7:07. Turning to the Les Schwab scoreboard from the American League West last night. It's 9 in a row now for the Boston Red Sox. Chris Sale struck out 12. No real problems with Texas, 4-2 with the Red Sox over the Rangers. Chad Pinders hit a 3-run home run. Oakland built an early 6-run lead, and they cruised over Houston. That's good. The final there was 8-3. So Houston lost. Seattle wins. That means the Astros lead in the American League West is 3 games over the Mariners and 9 games in front of the Oakland Athletics. And that is sports on this Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, 27 minutes after the hour. The obscure holiday of the day today. You're going to hear about this gentleman's birthday here in just a couple of minutes. But in honor of Henry David Thoreau, today is Simplicity Day. Simplicity is the law of nature for men as well as for flowers. Good stuff from Henry David Thoreau. He was born in the state in 1817. He was against slavery. He was a supporter of small government. He was an environmentalist. He was an author. And for a long time, he lived in quiet solitude on a pond and wrote about it. Embrace simple living. Take a vow of simplicity. If you got unimportant things, be it inanimate objects or animate objects, get rid of them. Simplify. If there's a really expensive object that you wanted to buy, you want to treat yourself, don't buy it. Give the money you would have spent on the big flat screen TV and give it to a charity or something like this. Simplicity is something we could, in today's world, hey, we could all cut back and simplify. Today is Simplicity Day in honor of the birthday of Mr. Thoreau. 28 minutes after the hour. Let's do today in history. Today is the birthday of the Medal of Honor. It was 156 years ago, July 12, 1862, that the United States Congress authorized the Medal of Honor, which is the highest and most prestigious personal military declaration you can get. What you see on your screen left to right is the Medal of Honor for the Army, and then in the middle, the Medal of Honor for the Navy, Marine, or the Coast Guard, and finally on the far right, the Medal of Honor for the Air Force. There have been 3,519 Medal of Honor recipients, and almost half of those were awarded during the Civil War. The Medal of Honor, first bestowed upon somebody on this date, July 12, 1862. This is a friendly reminder about how good Babe Ruth really, really was. July 12, 1921. In a game against St. Louis. That's Elvis. Elvis was good too. Should we just do Elvis? That's okay. No. Just real quick, Babe Ruth on this date hit his 137th career home run, which made him the all-time home run king. With home run number 137, he would break his own record 576 times. Elvis Presley, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. This is the day, 64 years ago today. There's Elvis Presley and Sam Phillips. July 12, 1954, Elvis Presley, 19 years old, quit his job as a truck driver with the Crown Electrical Company in Memphis, Tennessee, and he signed a recording contract with Sun Records and Sam Phillips, and rock and roll was here to stay. It will never die. And Elvis, by the way, was a pretty good baseball player. July 12, 1979. Speaking of baseball, look at that. Look at that. Disco Demolition Night. It was between games of a doubleheader between the White Sox and the Tigers at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Here was the whole idea. If you brought a disco record with you, you got in for 98 cents, and they had this big bin right inside Comiskey Park. You paid your 98 cents, and you put your record in the bin, and you went and watched the ball game. Well, the bin overfilled, so people still paid their 98 cents, and they came in with their disco records, and phew, they started flinging them all over the field, and the beer started to flow, and it was a sellout. And then between the games, they brought the big bin full of records. They put it right in the middle of Comiskey Park. They blew it up, tore a huge hole in the outfield grass. About 5,000 fans, drunken fans, stormed the field. They destroyed the batting cage. They stole home plate. They stole all the bases. They caused general mayhem. The second game was canceled, and then the next day, the White Sox simply had to forfeit the game. The most infamous baseball promotion of all time, Disco Demolition Night in Chicago 39 years ago today. And finally, birthdays. We mentioned Henry David Thoreau, the American essayist, poet, philosopher, born in the state in 1817. You look at him there, it looks like he lived about 80. He only lived to the age of 44. Of course, he's best known for his book, Walden. He was also into civil disobedience, which basically means if you think you live in an unjust state, you're perfectly within your right to disobey the government if you think they're wrong. Henry David Thoreau, born in the state in 1817. Read Walden, it's a good book. Oscar Hammerstein, the second half of the legendary songwriting team, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Richard Rodgers wrote the music, and Oscar Hammerstein wrote the story and the lyrics to Oklahoma, Carousel, South Pacific, The King and I, and of course The Sound of Music, their final musical. Oscar Hammerstein, the second, born in the state in 1895, passed away at the age of 65 in 1960. And Christine McVie, from Fleetwood Mac, there she is. She's 75 years old today. Left the group for quite some time, rejoined the group. Now, of course, the group fired Lindsey Buckingham. Christine McVie, the glue that holds the group together, the driving force of Fleetwood Mac, is 75 years old today. And happy birthday to our buddy Mike, who works in provisioning. There's Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you? He's celebrating a birthday today. I want to say 55, 56. How old are you, Mike? I know you're watching. Mike works in provisioning just down the hallway. We really don't know what they do in provisioning. They're the pros with the vision, I suppose. Happy birthday, Mike, from all your friends here in the building. 32 minutes after the hour, everyone is entitled to Mike Mignotti's opinion. The topic today is life. It's a big one. But before we get to that, we also have Kennel Cameos with Megan McPherson.
Hey guys, Megan with the NCW Life Channel. We are here with Renee Parkins, the Development Officer of the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, and we are also here, one second,
with Achilles.
Achilles the cat. Renee, can you tell us about Achilles?
We don't know very much about Achilles. He came in as a stray, and he was not in great shape. I mean, you can tell his tail has been shaved, and I think he had a pretty hard life, but you know, with some love and some treatment from our vet, and definitely with some love from staff and volunteers, he has definitely, you know, he's not matted anymore, and he's gained some weight back, and he's very friendly. He takes a little while, you know, to warm up, but he's a pretty nice guy. Yeah.
And what should someone do if they wanted to adopt him?
If they wanted to adopt him, I would have them come down and check him out. I don't know that he would be a great family cat, just because he does, you can tell he's a little gun shy.
Yeah.
But they can come down and meet him, see if he is the right fit for the family, get to hear his motor. That's a pretty good thing. And then if they decide that he's the right one for them, they can fill out an application and take him home. He's ready to go home today.
Awesome. The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is located at 1474 South Wenatchee Avenue and is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Give them a call at 509-662-9577 or visit their website at wenatcheehumane.org. This has been Kennel Cameos at the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society.
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been.
It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
Hello, Wenatchee Valley. Christian Shaman here with Bay Equity Home Loans.
Make your dream of building your own home a reality today. Bay Equity Home Loans has teamed up with Real Homes to make building your new home a smooth process. Bay Equity Home Loans of Wenatchee offers new construction loans, FHA 3.5% down, and VA 100% construction loans.
Stop on by or give us a call today.
Wenatchee Valley College is now offering 4-year degrees. The need for engineering technologists is rapidly growing, and the new Bachelor of Applied Science in Engineering Technology is designed to meet the needs of local employers. Students with an associate degree can complete the program in only 2 or 3 years. The program is accepting just 20 students for fall quarter. Apply now at wvc.edu/engineeringtech.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. I've been reading a book by Roman Catholic theologian Richard Rohr. Now, I have to say, I do think a lot of Rohr's questions and the theological dilemmas he faces would be clear to him if he was married, had a wife, and had kids. Okay, now, no disrespect to the Roman Catholic Church, but both of the mysteries and meaning of life and questions and stuff like that they might have been made clear to me simply because I'm married and I have a family. Now, learning to live and get along with someone else, particularly as someone who is as different and wonderful as Rosie is for me, has caused me to grow and change in ways I otherwise never would have. That's pretty simple, actually. If the Roman Catholic Church would just let their priests get married and have kids, they'd understand our life a whole lot better. I mean, just like you and me. Well, that is, if you're not a Catholic priest anyway. Well, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Vominos junk haulers are pleased to announce they've added moving services to their list of ways to make your life easier. Vominos Moving Service. No move is too big or small. In fact, Vominos does it all. Vominos employees are experienced at moving your home, office, business, and storage. They'll carefully load and unload your belongings. And for the do-it-yourselfers, Vominos also rents trucks and cargo trailers. Call Vominos Junk Haulers and Moving Service today to schedule your free estimate.
Boating is a great way to bring family and friends together. At Bobfile Boats and Motors, they have the boats for any lifestyle: fishing, wakeboarding, or just relaxing on the water. Buying a new boat is more affordable than you might think at Bobfile Boats and Motors. Online at bobfile.com or on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee.
Bobfile Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bobfile's gonna make you smile.
This is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to watch our new and improved 12th District 2.0 show. Now featuring more information on federal, state, and local issues in a leaner, faster format. Guest hosts John Wise and Shiloh Shower bring it all home with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Why do we call it 2.0? Because just like me, it's the stronger, faster, and lighter version of today's politics. Also available on demand at ncwlife.com.
And we're back on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Just about 18, 19 years ago, the Wenatchee City government changed from a mayor commission format to a mayor council format. And Wenatchee's population then in 1999 was about 28,000. And now, of course, we have a different kind of government. It is a mayor council government, and all the members of the Wenatchee City Council are elected at large. All you have to do is be a legally qualified candidate and live in the city of Wenatchee, and you can run for Wenatchee City Council. That may change as far as where you live, and that's going to be the topic of conversation not only this morning, but tonight at the Wenatchee City Chambers at the beginning of 5:15. And my guests today making their first ever appearance on the show. Two people I'm very familiar with, Councilwoman Ruth Esparza to my immediate left and Councilperson Jim Bailey to my far left. For full disclosure, I've known both of these people for quite some time. Hi, Ruth.
Hi.
Hi, Jim.
Morning. Hi, everyone.
Jim taught me in high school. What did you teach me in high school? What was your...
I don't know.
I had you in class.
Yeah, probably American history.
I think it was American history.
Back that far.
I'm sure I got an A, and I've known Ruth for forever. Let's talk about the history of the process. What we're talking about, of course, is the possibility of districting out the city, and we'll show up some maps. Take us back, well, 4 years ago to the famous Yakima lawsuit, and then 3 years ago to the formation of the committee. Take us back 3 years, and how did we get from 3 years ago to tonight? Who wants to start tackling that?
Well, I'll start. I guess the way I describe it is we've taken our time to make sure that we know what we're doing, because this is a big change for the city. And we need to have our ducks in a row. We needed to get community input, and one of the first ways that we thought of doing it is put a committee together so that they can get educated on the subject and then give us feedback as to what their recommendations would be.
And the committee, Jim, was an excellent committee, I thought. I thought that the 10 or 12 people on the committee was a really good mix. Gene Spidell, I thought, did a great job of chairing that committee. And they came back with recommendations. It was a larger committee. There's not going to be a consensus, but the committee came back to City Council and said, this is what we think, Jim. What did they tell you?
The recommendation of the council, or of the committee, was to go to a 7-district system. There were 11 members of the committee. 8 of them followed that recommendation. That was the majority opinion. There were 3 members of the committee that offered a minority opinion, and they recommended going to 5 districts with 2 at large. So that's kind of where we are. We have those 2 recommendations to consider.
And this whole process started with the Yakima lawsuit. The city of Yakima ended up dropping some serious coin to lose a lawsuit. When they added up attorney's fees and what they had to pay and everything else, it was about $2.5 million. And that's what first brought this whole thing on the radar of the city council, correct?
Yes, and then after the committee gave its recommendation, then the city council decided to put a halt to it a little bit, because there was a scuttlebuff about the Washington State Voters' Rights Act, and we said, okay, let's wait to see what that new law, if it passes, what it's going to say. And so it has passed, and here we are. Again, and so now I don't think that we have an option of whether to stay at large or not. I think we do have to district. Now, how we district, that's a different question. I do believe that we don't have to vote on either the 7 or the 5. You know, as council members, we do have other options. So.
But one option that's going to be off the table, according to Ruth, is this whole at-large thing is probably gone at a certain point.
I think so, yeah. And it really affects, to me, I guess, one of the fundamental questions here is just simply how it affects the community. This is going to change the dynamics of how the city does business, in a sense. But at this point, and Ruth alluded to the legislature, making a decision. We kind of in 2017, the legislature didn't pass it. It was before the legislature didn't pass, and then 2008, this past session, they did. And that creates a kind of another level of concern and kind of angst almost. Is that you have the 1965 Federal Voting Rights Act and all the things that go with that, and then we now have the state one. And I guess there's more exposure to the city in terms of being sued than under the state one than we have under the federal one, which is what Yakima went through. So there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of unknowns in there because the law, the way it's written, there's you can't get two lawyers to agree to how to interpret it. So we're kind of launching into some pretty interesting territory.
But on the other hand, you're ahead of the game because you started this process 3 years ago, and now all these other cities and towns throughout the state of Washington, regardless of their size, are going to have to address what the legislature dumped on their lap, and at least we have that going for us, right?
Very much so. I think it was very smart of the city of Wenatchee to get started on this quickly, and we do have like 3 years into this where some cities haven't even looked at the issue, and making them, I think, a little more susceptible to a lawsuit. To me, it's the way I'm looking at this is we need to find a way that we pretty much seal the deal where the city will not get sued. That's really important to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, nobody likes litigation,
no,
except the lawyers. After Yakima went through this whole process, they brought in a gentleman by the name of Bill Cooper who really knows what he's doing, and he's the one who basically drew the 7 districts for the city of Yakima, and he has done the same thing potentially. This isn't set in stone for the city of Wenatchee, and we have the 2 graphical representations. That is what it may look like if Wenatchee goes to 7 districts or wards, if you will. Ruth, you want to comment on what you see on the screen right there?
Well, the way I understand it, like I said, I think under the Federal Voters' Rights Act, there are experts out there, legal experts. Now, I'm an attorney by nature, but I'm not an expert on this law. And so when Bill Cooper drafted this map and with these districts, we were working under the Federal Voters' Rights Act. That's really important to understand. And same with the 5 districts too. Okay, but now we have the Washington State Voters' Rights Act. And so I don't know that this map here, as we're looking at it, will pass muster in regards to any potential lawsuit.
So basically, even if you pass, and let's go ahead, this is the transition. This would be 5 districts with 2 at-large seats, so 2 city council members would be elected by the entire citizenry, and then the other 5 would be elected in their individual districts. Is there a preference for either you, Jim, or you, Ruth? Which would you like? What direction are you leaning in, Jim Bailey?
My inclination right now is a 5 and 2. I still believe there is value in at-large positions to represent the whole city. You break it down into wards, then you become more focused, it becomes more territorial, I suppose, if you think that way. But having 2 members that are kind of able to look at the whole community, not that the members of the other districts can't. I'm not saying that. But I think there's still value in having at-large positions. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. But I agree with Ruth. I think there's a lot of unknowns in this thing with the Washington Voters Act that was just passed. Cities are very vulnerable at this point. We've tried to do this. I think be proactive in this thing. As Ruth said, we're way ahead of pretty much everybody else. We really don't want to have to end up in court because then you lose control. A judge tells you what you will do, when you will do it, and how you will do it. And that's a really bad place to be. That's what happened to Yakima.
Ruth, 7 districts or 5 and 2? Where are you leaning at right now?
To tell you the truth, I'm still exploring my options because, like I said, I don't want to get boxed into just those 2 options. And here's why, because Jim and I were lucky enough to be able to speak to an expert attorney on this issue. And the way I understand it, again, I'm no legal expert, but the 5 and the 7 may still leave us open to potential litigation. And with regards to the Washington State Voters' Rights Act. Let's make that clear. And so, again, I want to keep my options open. One of the things I've learned throughout this process since 2015 is we're learning more and more as we go on this issue. And so I still want to hear from the constituents. I know that I've been reading some of the letters, you know, in the paper, but we still have a public hearing tonight. And so I want to hear what the citizens have to say, because there's so many different angles to making this decision. This is a really important decision for our city. And so it's not just, you know, what the law says, you know, there's what the citizens feel about this. And ultimately, also, you know, it's how I'm going to put together the opinions of the community and what I know about this issue, and that's how I'm going to decide.
Is there a frustration level in that this has kind of been forced upon you? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think the city council does a great job. I think everybody is very well represented regardless of economic or socioeconomic or ethnicity. I have no problems with all. You people do your homework. You do a good job. And now your little happy 8-person family is it's going to get messed up here. And it's coming.
Yeah.
For me, it's frustrating because I think the city council does great work.
You know, I wanna make something clear. I know that there's been some comments out there, basically that the city council doesn't want to do the districting because we're just protecting our jobs. To me, you know, I could stop being city council tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, I love being on council and I love what I do for the citizens of the city of Wenatchee. But to me, I'm looking at it from what's in the best interest of the whole, of everybody, because everybody elected me.
Jim, same question.
Yeah, I guess my frustration is, and like Ruth, you know, I've been on the city council in my 11th year. Okay, so if you know, next week I'm not. Okay, I've had a good run, and I'm comfortable with that. But it's just I hate ambiguity. and I'm a pretty linear kind of guy, okay? And ambiguity bothers me, and this is the kind of the frustrating piece of this. I think, and like Ruth said, we you know, kind of every day, you know, here's another piece, you know, that we hadn't heard before, you know, whatever. And you know, that makes me uncomfortable because yes, we are making a decision that's going to last. And you know, theoretically, it's going to last for, you know, a long time, and we're taking the city, putting the city in a position to operate differently. There will be different perceptions. People are going to look at things differently. There's going to be, and I guess that's I'm pretty conservative, and I guess that's my frustration. It's not like this. I guess to me, there's no really, other than I guess the legal stuff. I don't see a driving, compelling reason to do this, because I don't believe the city has. I believe the city has been working in good faith to get more representation in the minority community and so forth, and so that really plays in, I think, in my thinking.
We're going to go into the assumption that, as Ruth said, to completely protect the city from any kind of possible litigation, 7 districts might just be it, right? 7 separate districts, just to appease the authorities, the judges who we don't want to see stuff.
Let's go and look at the map.
Here's the 7-district map that Bill Cooper wrote up.
Yes, so the way I understand it, under the Washington State Voters' Rights Act, right now you would have, I think 7, 2, and 1 would be within those districts. The majority of the population within those districts would be Latino. But not necessarily in District 5 or not necessarily in District 4 or 3. I don't know about 6, but I've looked at the mapping where the majority of Latinos live on the south end. So let's say we do go to the 7 districts, or the 5, it doesn't matter. But then if you don't have the makeup of your community is not represented or reflected in, let's say, District 5, a minority individual in District 5 could still come into the city and say, I don't like your district lines, and this doesn't benefit me, I'm going to sue you. Or 6, or 4, or 3.
As long as you're a registered voter and a citizen of, that one person can sue and change the whole process, which is essentially what happened in Yakima.
Do you see my dilemma with the way these districts are drawn up? Now, under the Federal Voters' Rights Act, from what I understand, we would be, pretty secure in regard to litigation, but I'm not sure with the new law that passed here in Washington.
Is Wenatchee Wenatchee's growing? We got, with the recent annexation, we're close to 38,000. Is Wenatchee still too small for this kind of thing? I mean, you look at the districts, the 7 possible districts, and I'm thinking, geographically, that isn't very big. I mean, I can certainly understand Yakima, that's 100,000 people.
I think that's one of the cons to a districting, especially for the 7, because I don't know that we're big enough yet. But some of the pros for districting is, I think it would alleviate some of the apathy we have, by voters or people who are not engaged in their government. That's one pro of it, and the other is elections would be less expensive, and people get to know their council members better. So those are pros to it. But again, there's cons to it too. Like Jim said earlier, it's kind of tribal. It's like everybody's going to be against everybody because it divides us. It doesn't unite us.
That's my biggest concern. It's funny you brought up money. How much is this going to cost if they go to the 7 district? Hello, Skip Moore, Chelan County Auditor. We've changed things. Can you come down and pay me a visit? What's this going to cost the taxpayers of the city of Wenatchee? Do you know? Is there a cost analysis that anybody has done? It's going to cost money, right, to do this? I'm assuming.
We haven't talked about that.
Yeah. Other than hiring demographer bill to do this, and some ancillary costs. The only thing would be, depending on how the the lawyers finally figure out how to work the election process, may involve there might be a special election. But typically, the way the law, at least I understand it, the way the law is written, it's the next general election. So we might be up in a year if it comes. However, this works out, could end up in a year, an off year. So you'd have to run a special. It would be essentially a special election. That would be some cost, but it's not a significant amount of money.
We just got about 3 minutes left. Let's talk other city business. How are things at the city?
So you have to throw in the ball from left field, huh?
Yeah, I got to throw one out there. Things seem to be going rather well.
Yes,
the city's in a good place.
Yeah, financially we're doing good.
We're paying the bills and we got money in the bank and we're doing good. And there's just lots of stuff going on. I mean, there's infrastructure projects going on. We're seeing a real uptick in the amount of apartment units being brought online, so that we're starting to chip away at that housing issue. Not by any means gone, but we are making progress there. So yeah, I mean, we're doing some good things, and again, some really long range kinds of things. Some of the infrastructure stuff, and extension of the sewer system out into the Sunny Slope, and those kinds of things, which will stimulate more development out there, get some more housing units in place and so forth. So yeah, I feel good about what's going on in town.
Same deal, Ruth? Yeah, you're always a ray of sunshine.
We're excited about the federal building and getting that project started, and but really excited that we do have construction going on. For housing to alleviate. By no means are we there yet, not even close to alleviating the housing issue, but just being able to see that construction is continuing to happen. Each time I hear about a new project, I'm like really happy, because it's I think to me that's our #1 issue.
People want to live here because it's one of the best cities in the state. It's one of the best cities in the nation. It's beautiful. It's very well run. People flock to Wenatchee because they like it, but we don't want people to leave Wenatchee because they can't afford to live here. And that's the biggest thing right now is affordable housing is hard to come by in this town. And it's going to be addressed one way or the other. 1 minute left. What are you expecting tonight? What's your gut telling you with the discussion tonight, Jim, real briefly?
Well, as long as I've been on the council and years ago on the planning commission, I will never make a prediction.
Ruth, same deal? Any idea?
Same thing. I'm just going to walk in and with open ears, ready to listen to the constituents. Because that's really, one of the big, key, important factors of this whole issue.
They're talking about the districting tonight. You can throw in there and do your 2 cents. They're going to be taking a week off, just so they can take a week off. And then the big vote comes August 8th, right? Is that correct? 9th. Thank you very much. See, that's what they're here to do. Correct me. Thank you for doing the show. I appreciate it. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Have a fun night tonight. Everybody have a fun Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.